Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In this video today, we're going to start looking at assignments and variables and things that we can do with variables. Now, in this short program I've got here, I've got some weird like crossed out stuff at the start and then 2 lines of code. Okay. Now in Python, you'll see at the start we've got this little symbol at the start. Now this is a hash, not a hashtag. Okay. But what that does is that just makes it not code. It's just a comment. Okay. So it might be a comment to you, it might be a comment to another programmer or coder, but it's just a little bit of code or text there we can put in the background, which the Python program would ignore, but we can still see it. Okay, so it says, what do you think will happen when we execute the program below? Now, fortunately for you, I'm not a history teacher, but to execute doesn't mean to chop off your head with a massive sword or a guillotine. To execute in computer science means to carry out instructions. Okay, so here we're saying, what do you think will happen when we carry out the instructions in the program below? Okay. Now, in line 3, we've got print or display. My lucky number is lucky. Now, here we've got a value of lucky equals 13. Okay, so let's see what happens when we run it. It should say, we think, my lucky number is 13. Because remember from lesson 1, we always refer to the name of the variable and not its contents. So let's try. Okay. So we've got an error here, and it's saying that in line 3, lucky is not defined. Okay. Now you'll remember from when we talked about a sequence and a program. Okay. And a program, be like an algorithm, is a set of instructions, but it has to be in a certain order. You'll always read the instructions in order: line 1, line 2, then line 3, and then line 4. But up to this point in line 3, it doesn't yet know what lucky is. Is it a variable? Is it something else? We don't know. And it's not until line 4 that we create our variable. You'll remember that because looking for the equal symbol, that tells you that this is our variable. The equal symbol is always your clue. So what we need to do is we need to move this above it. So now it'll read line 3 first, and actually it knows that this is a new variable with a value of 13. So you want to display that here in line 4. And there we go. Okay. Let's try another one. Okay. So same as before. Here we've got a little program, and in this case it is in the right order. Okay. First we declare or assign our variable called seconds. But look at what was happening in line 2. Here we've got a new variable called minutes, and we're saying minutes equals seconds. This little thing here, these 2 slashes, 60. Now, I'll give you a clue. These symbols here mean divide. Okay, so we're saying seconds divide by 60. And what we can actually do, we can refer to a variable within another variable. So here we're saying in line 2, create a new variable called minutes, but the value of it will be whatever seconds is divided by 60. And we know that seconds is 2,567, so it will take this number, divide it by 60 for us, and store it in the variable called minutes. So when we press run, it will now say 2,567 seconds is 42 whole minutes. Okay. Similarly, let's try one more program now using a couple more variables. Let's look at this program here. Okay. Now we're going to create a short program which can work out or calculate for us how much we weigh on the moon. Okay. Now, I can tell you from knowledge that you weigh on the moon roughly 1/6 of what you weigh on Earth. Okay. So let's have a look. Okay. Now, we're going to start looking at what's called input. So that allows the user to actually interact with the program. Okay. So we can use input here, and always after input we need bracket bracket. Always remember, if you open your brackets, you need to close your brackets as well. Okay. Now we have in Python what's called data types. You might remember from lesson 1, we have a string. A string is anything which is just text or words, and we assign a string with speech marks, like here in line 1 and again in line 4. Now another data type which we need to know is an integer. Now an integer, maths heads, is a whole number. Okay, so sometimes we can type in or input data into Python, but it might not know what to do with it or what data type it is. We have to force it to tell. We have to force it by telling it. Okay, and we do that by saying int input, and again we need to close our second set of brackets. So now what will happen is on line 2, it will allow us to type in on the right hand side our weight, and it must be a whole number. Okay, and that's fine, because at the moment we haven't yet said what's happening in line 3. That's why it's giving us an error message. Okay, now we could say on this side 100 divided by 6, and that will work. But at the moment on the left hand side, sorry, on the right hand side, it doesn't allow us to interact with the program. Okay, so rather than saying 100 divided by 6, we want to refer to whatever the user has typed in at this stage here. Okay, because at the moment, if we type in, say, if we typed in, say, 80, that value will be stored in our little jar called weight earth. Okay, so we want to refer to this value here and take this value and divide it by 6. So we're going to put it in down here and say weight earth, and then divide it by 6. Okay, let's run it again. So weight on earth, let's say 80, press enter on our keyboard, and it says weight on the moon, 13. So let's recap one more time. We've created a variable here called weight earth, and by using input, it allows the user on the right hand side to interact with the program. But because we want the user to type in a whole number, we've had to declare it to be an integer, int. Okay, we then take that number and divide it by 6, and that calculation is then stored in our new variable, our second variable called weight moon. In the last one here, we're now saying print or display the message weight on the moon is this number here. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe, and then come back to lesson 3 where we're going to start looking at if and else.